Okay, so this is the plant that I'm going to be working on today. It's this big Crassula here. As you can see, it's got a big hefty trunk. So my first step is going to be getting it out of the pot. Alright, let's start by digging it out of the pot. It looks like when this was put in here, it was actually in a separate pot. As you can see here, it looks like it was just taken straight out of the pot and then put into this one. So I'm hoping I can get it out relatively easily. Just gonna try pulling it out here. It's very heavy. Still something holding it in there. Just trying to cut around it. Looks like maybe some of these other plants in here have rooted into. Okay, looks almost free now. There we go. All right, so that's the root ball there. Okay, so now I'm just gonna go ahead and try to get as much of this organic soil off as possible. I'm gonna be replacing this, doing a full repot here with good bonsai soil, so that way you won't have any possibility of root rot or other diseases. You can see there's some kind of, I don't know, weird fungus or lichen or something that's clearly growing in here. Maybe just a result of the fact that we've been having a wetter than usual weather here in Southern California. But either way, I'm going to get rid of this organic soil so that I can get down to the root base and replace it with good inorganic bonsai soil. It's okay if I damage some of these roots or rip out some of these smaller, finer roots here. This is a succulent plant, so it's not like a traditional tree, in that it doesn't get most of its moisture through its roots. It actually gets the moisture through the leaves. The roots are really just to hold it in place. And as you can see, it does have a very healthy root system here. It's clearly been thriving in this environment. I actually got this plant for free, actually. The local apartment app, somebody was advertising for, saying, hey, I'm moving, I need to get rid of a bunch of plants. These are free for anyone who wants to come and pick them up. So I jumped on the opportunity and got a whole bunch of plants, including this big one here. This one is made the whole entire thing worthwhile, I think. This is going to be a great bonsai. But it's just one of those things, you know, if you want to do the hobby on a budget, you don't want to spend a bunch of money, it's definitely worthwhile to take the time and look at some of those local apps, Facebook Market, you know, your neighborhood apps, stuff like that, to see what people are giving away for free or very cheap, because you can sometimes find good scores like this. For free or for very little money. Okay. Now I'm starting to get really top heavy here, so I think what I'm going to have to do is do a bit of thinning out on the canopy here before I really go further. As you can see, it's got quite a lot of foliage, and these succulents here are extremely heavy. Their foliage is extremely heavy. That's where they store all the water in the plant. Rather than store it in the trunk, stems, or root, most of it is stored in these large succulent leaves. Actually, you know what? I think I'm just going to wait to do the canopy pruning. I'm just going to be careful not to break any of the branches off. I'm just going to continue getting the rest of this out here. And then we can put it up in the pot and we can start to do some pruning from there. Okay. Shaking out some of the excess here. Again, my goal here is to get rid of as much of this organic soil as I can, while retaining as much of the radial root system as possible. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to cut off, because I'm going to be planting this in a shallow pot. I'm going to be going in here and cutting off basically everything at the same level. And again, because this is a succulent plant, it can take a lot of root work. You can essentially just cut off all of the roots if you really want to. At which point you'd basically be just growing it again from cutting. One of the things to remember when you're doing this kind of intense root work on a succulent is if you do make cuts to the roots, you have to be really careful about your watering. You want to wait until the roots have healed over, dried over, before you start watering it again. So I'll give it a week or two. But once the cuts have healed over, start watering it again like normal. Okay, now this is the pot that I'm going to be using. This is a pot that I made from concrete. So it's a homemade pot. So you can see the pot here. This is probably going to be the front. Just has a little bit of a nicer finish. This one has a kind of a big hole in it, so I'm going to leave that as the back. And then you can see I have put in some drainage screens and then ran some wire through that. So I am going to be wiring this tree down because of the fact that it's so big and so top heavy. So with this being the front of the pot, I want to make sure that I get the front of the tree in here. Now, I'm just trying to look at the base of the trunk, look at the shape, and see for me what looks like the best front. For me, somewhere around here looks like the best front, just because you can see the full width of the trunk. It's got a nice taper here, and it actually starts to lean forward towards the viewer a little bit in this position. So I'm going to aim for right here. And I'm going to wire it in. Careful not to damage the trunk as much as possible. Actually, you know what? I'm going to have to cut off that little sucker first. I do want it to go just around the trunk, so I'm going to get rid of this at some point anyway, so I'm just going to get that off right now. Get that kind of out of the way. Okay, back to the wiring. Okay, that's good. Now, the other direction here. Let's start by tightening it a bit over the roots. Giving it a few twists to keep it in shape here. And then wrapping around the trunk again. And a few twists before I grab my pliers, and then pulling and twisting. Pulling and twisting. Oop. I broke my wire. I think I am going to have to get rid of some of this top weight. So I'm just going to come in here and just prune back some of these. Okay, so after taking off quite a bit of foliage, it's feeling a bit more stable in the pot. Just tighten it down a bit more to make sure. Okay, cutting off the excess wire here. Okay, and now I'm going to go in with my soil. And this is the same blend that I used for my willow tree a few weeks ago. That's roughly 50-50 pumice, fuller's earth, with a little bit of perlite. With the soil in place, it is starting to actually mostly hold under a ton of weight. A little bit more upright than that, so I'm going to see if I can stuff some soil underneath. I'm just going to take my poker tool and make sure everything has worked well into the root system. Okay, so now the tree is much more stable in the pot. Can still use a bit more. Just lift it up. A bit more sagging than I want to, so I want to lift it up and just get some soil underneath it so it props it up in a better position. I don't have enough bonsai soil left, so for now I'm going to top this up with pure pumice. Okay, now I'm going to shift the focus to the top of the tree. Okay, so now you can finally get a look at the overall planting. You can see it's very heavy on this side and there's almost nothing over here. So you have to do some correcting for that, but should be good. Definitely good material to start with. So first things first, let's start with the bottom. Do I want a branch out the bottom this far? And I think the answer is no. I think I'm definitely going to have to cut this off here. So let's go for it. Here we go. There we go. It's a big cut. That'll, again, these are super easy to propagate. You just stick that in some soil, and in no time you'll have some roots coming out. Give it a week or two to dry, for the tip to dry. But other than that, should be very good. So I'm gonna put that off to the side. Definitely keep that as a cutting, and I'll basically just trim off all the foliage too, so it's light enough to grow. It's not top heavy when I plant it. Now we have this other branch here to contend with. Do I want that or do I not want that? I think this one's not terrible, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut it off at this node here. You can see the lines where each leaf node was created, so you can see on here in a smaller fresh shoot, you can see where the leaves are, each section where the leaves are. So that's basically how it grows. It grows in these little sections. So I'm going to cut it off just above this one, and hopefully what will happen is this section will die and dry out, and then it eventually just fall off, and then the section underneath will hopefully bud out with something. And again, we have another nice cutting. A nice thick cutting that we can take. And then this one, from the front, I definitely like it. I want to keep this one as kind of horizontal, and that's about it, I think. So again, another cutting. And I'm going to be coming in and actually I'm just going to let these dry out, these sections here dry out and fall off on their own. I'm not even going to come in and try to clean them up because these plants basically take care of themselves in that way. If it does start to heal over without falling off, then I'll come back and cut it, but for now I'm just going to leave those like that. Now this next one we have, you can see there's a shoot that comes up all the way here. Things go straight, and then there's ones that go forward. I don't want the ones that grow forward. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off this one. I'm going to take off this one. I'm going to take off this one. And then I'm just going to prune this back. Oh, there's another shoot here going inward. I don't want that. prune those back a bit, and hopefully I'll get some more stuff. What I'll do is I'll have this tree facing the sun this way, so that way, you know, most of the growth will be oriented towards the side that was missing from the front. And what I might even end up doing here is, if you can see, I might end up just taking this all off here and letting this grow up as the new leader. So that way we get a bit more taper, a bit more movement, stays upright a bit more. I'm definitely going to take this off because it's growing a bit too vertical at the top of the tree. Again, another nice cutting. And you can see this branch behind it. Again, the same thing, it kind of goes basically almost directly vertical, so I'm going to take that off. Trim these back a bit. Another nice cutting. Now, following up that first branch, there's one that kind of droops down a little bit more. I'm going to take that one right off. And then this one here has a shoot that comes up, but then because of the weight, it starts to drag back down. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shorten that, and then hopefully something will grow more vertical here. Again, you got this other branch here. I think this branch is too close. You can see it goes from 1 to 2, and then from 1 to 2, and then again immediately to another 2. So I don't need this one at all. Another nice little cutting. And I think I need to make a decision here, because either the front would have to be slightly moved, or something would have to change here, because you can see from this front view, there's a fork here, and this branch here kind of overshadows. So there are a couple of options of what I could do. I could take this branch off and let that fork in the back fill that space, or I can remove this and then have the tree just be that. I can remove this entirely and let this fork in the back be the new apex, which honestly might be the best decision if I want to keep it as a straight, upright tree. Okay, so it turns out I ran out of space on my camera here midway through recording that. I did get most of it, but cut out towards the end. So I'm just going to skip to the end here. As you can see, I decided to make this the front, and here is the final product. Alright, that's all for today, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to turn on the notifications so you get notified when I post a new video. Alright, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hope to see you back next time.